Fire Radio.
And welcome back to Conversations Ventilation. I'm your host, The Shimmick. Thank you for joining in today. Well, let's get started, dive right into it. We're going to dedicate this video, this episode here, to all of the first responders and the citizens of Florida and all the way up the coast. Anyone who has been affected by Mother Nature's 1-2 punch, the Helene and the Milton, right? Helene came through a few days ago, wreaked havoc. Milton, the old right hook, coming in tonight, hitting the Tampa area, expected to cause significant damage and possibly more deaths. Already 230 people, the death toll from Helene itself. So let's keep everyone in our thoughts and our prayers as Mother Nature, the 1-2 punch, hits landfall tonight again. So this is for Florida and all of the first responders and the citizens. This is to everyone. This is to you. All right. Well, today we got a good one. Jeremy Donch from National Fire Radio stopped over on my side of the internet to have a quick conversation and just to say hi, get into a few little things, get into some of, how we got started, why he got started. And, to be honest, I just wanted to show him off because he's Jeremy. He's a good looking guy. So hope you enjoy and stay tuned. Roll that footage. All right, welcome back into Conversations Ventilation. I'm your host, The Shimmick, and this guy you might recognize from where? National Fire Radio. Jeremy Donch. Welcome.
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm living the dream. I
feel like we've done this before.
We have, but just never on my side because you always make me come over to your house to play, and you never come to mine.
Well, listen, what I get to do is I get to watch the fire service and see what's happening. And that's a big part of what I enjoy doing. And so I'm always looking for different people or personalities or training groups or departments or, organizations that stand out. And, you came across my my desk and I said, somebody reached out and, said, hey, you might want to check this guy out. And I literally cold called you after hearing a few things.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It's been fun. And yeah. So for anyone on my side who's unaware, National Fire Radio, it's becoming a really big deal. 6 years in, am I correct?
Yeah. About 6 years.
Okay. So tell us.
Well, it is 6 years now. Yeah. I've lost all track of time, to be honest with you. This is like the chaos of my life. It's every day. So yeah, it's been 6 years. 18 we started. 18.
How many total episodes? 350?
So right now on the books, it will show a number of like 370. But I've probably done over 600.
Man, I know when we first met and we're trying to schedule our time together, you sent me this list of like when you're available. And I said, holy shit, this guy's legit. You're like, I can talk to you from 9:17 to 9:15 or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a 17-minute window on Tuesday. Like,
if it was that, if I was that pompous, man, I'd check out, but no, the way I have to do scheduling because my world is upside down, right? I wear so many different hats and I want to give the appropriate time to each guest because I truly enjoy being a steward of the guest's message. As much as I think like our listeners tune in to hear what I have to say and my own opinions on topics.
Sure.
The way I weave that into the conversation, like I don't like doing interviews. So I like doing conversations and I like the back and forth. Right. And I find that the guest's information is as important as mine. And that might sound pompous in a way, but I think that's a good back and forth. I think the listener wants to hear real conversation and not just interview with like questions and answers and a rigid format. Like, I think that sucks personally. So
it's boring and we have a tendency to tune out because it's it's a little pre-planned so
when I do scheduling, I look at the month to 2 months in advance I pick the days on my calendar that I can record. I usually do multiple episodes in one day. So like today, I had 4 on the books. This was impromptu. So now it's number 5 today. So I'm doing 5 episodes today, plus meetings with some manufacturers that I have this afternoon and so on. So it's a very busy schedule. So when I do the scheduling, I have a cookie cutter text message or email that goes out to potential guests. It outlines dates and times that are the recording sessions. And that's the only way I can keep it straight. So it actually works out really well. And I book out usually 30 to 60 days in advance.
Well, you're definitely, it was my first introduction to you was like, wow, this guy's legit.
Well, then smoke and mirrors works well because I'm a hot mess.
It's like I envision calling you someday going, please hold for Jeremy.
Yes.
And then you know, some intern, here's Jeremy.
Bro,
you know.
if we ever get to that, take me out back, because that means I've lost touch with what this is all about. And I mean that in you know, we're joking, but my phone number is available to anybody that wants it. And in fact, I get direct messages and instant messages across all the social media channels. And I give out my phone number like Tic Tacs, man. And people text, they call. I've never had anybody abuse it. I've never had anybody get out of line with it. And, you know, hopefully I never will. And but if there's something that you need, that's what this is all about, man. I mean, we're supposed to be picking one another up. And I get a lot of people that look to me because I've put myself out there, that a lot of people look to me for advice or opportunities or ideas or, you know, my opinion on a situation. And
you're becoming kind of the face. I mean, you're well known.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think
you're being modest right now, because when I was scheduled for my first round with you, people were like, you're going on National Fire Radio. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, Jeremy, you know, like people know you. And it's like, okay, well, I guess. I
think it's because we're an OG platform in the podcast world, maybe, right? Is like when we started 6 years ago, there weren't many fire service podcasts that were out there. And we gained traction very quickly because I think in combination of being one of the first to market, but also holding true to what our message needed to be and how we delivered our content was important. And we have not, I've seen so many shows come and go, and I get messages all the time from people that are like, hey, I'm looking to start a podcast, and do you have any advice? I get those 3 times a week easily. Right. And I say, have a vision, have a focus. But the hardest part about a podcast is hitting record.
Yep.
You got to hit record.
So tell me.
It's a long game, bro. And people don't have stamina anymore.
Exactly. And it's that instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
You just think you're going to wake up with 100,000 followers and people are paying you to talk and everybody wants to hear what Jeremy has to say. And it's like, no, you're going to have 47 views.
And I think ultimately, truly, I think the success is on the back of the hard work that's been put in. And I don't mean that, like, when I talk, I'm not full of myself in any way, right? I'm really not. But I do recognize the hard work and consistency that goes into what we've built. And I say we because there's other guys that help me with this, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not just me. I'm just happen to be the bigger mouth and the face piece for it, and the mouthpiece for it. But there's other guys that have trusted me over the years to be a part of National Fire Radio. But it's built on hard work. We've earned every single relationship. We've earned every single listener or person that wants to share their story. We've earned that because we've worked for it.
So take me back when you're laying in bed a week or two before this comes out. What's going on in your head? Like what's in your heart and your head saying, I have to get online and I have to say these things? Where was your motivation coming from?
Yeah, a big part of my story was I had every opportunity to be a career firefighter early on when I was 20 years old. I deferred a job because I was in college and my parents were able to take care of my college education. And I felt that if I left college prior to graduating, I would never go back and graduate. And I didn't want that. I respected my parents too much and recognized what they had done for me. And I just felt that if I got hired, then I would never finish school. And so I stayed with college, From there, I went into the family. This is the abbreviated version.
Sure.
My program, I go the first half hour of my Bridging the Gap program is my whole story, and I tell it, and I'm freaking Tommy boy, bro, fat, drunk, and stupid, right? And that was me growing up, and I grew up in a upper middle class neighborhood. Everything was given to me. I was entitled. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was always the big kid in school, so I was a bully. I mean, you name it. The story goes on and on, but I've come to realize that's not who I wanted to be. And over my story, I've changed who I am. And I'm a very different person today than I was even just 10 years ago, let alone 20, 30 years ago. But where National Fire Radio came from was my missing being a career firefighter. I've been a fireman for 30 years, just in the volunteer sector. And I've had so many friends leave the volunteers to go career. And I have friends in every major city and small town across the country. Mm-hmm. I know guys that I grew up with as a fireman, and I was the guy that stayed and everybody else graduated and left. And I missed my opportunity because the family business pulled me in. And 2008, 2009, the economy corrected, and it was either me or a couple employees. And that was the day that I had to decide if I was staying with the family business or if I was going to move on and do something else. And I stayed with the family business. And from that point on, I had to be committed to the company. And in fact, from fat, drunk, and stupid, I went to pretty damn smart and good at what I did. I learned the family business, and it did very well for me. And so I'm grateful for that. We ended up selling the business 5 years ago and gave my father an exit. And now I work as a sales consultant for the acquisition company. Okay. But I also do National Fire Radio on top of that. But where it came from, and the reason why I tell you all this is because I started resenting my family. I started resenting my father. I started resenting my brothers that were in the business because I was working so hard on behalf of the company, and being a part of the success of the company came on the back of my hard work. And I felt like I just started resenting everybody in the process because I was working so hard at the family business. And so when I turned 40 years old, I said to my wife, it's time for me to do something for me. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I think the fire service is missing. I think that we're losing track. The institutions that I grew up with in the fire service, Fire Engineering Magazine, Firehouse Magazine. Firehouse was for hot shots and all the color photos, and Fire Engineering was for the knowledge and experience and mentorship, right? So they both had their lanes. The problem was they weren't innovating. They weren't hitting on delivering information to the fire service on today's channels of delivery. I grew our family business, and some of the success of our family business came on the back of me learning how to navigate social media. And I said, the fire service needs to do the same. And nobody was doing it at the time. And so National Fire Radio, I said to my wife, I said, we need to protect the integrity of the job by telling the stories of the senior man in perpetuity. We needed to take these stories and experiences. I was watching guys pissed off and disgruntled at the fire service 20, 25 years in.
Yep.
They had an incredible career up until the last 3 years. The system wronged them. They hated the new generation. They didn't like their new boss, whatever the frig it was. And they would leave the last 3 years of their job, career or volunteer, the job, they would leave pissed off and disgruntled and take everything with them. And I was like, I can't have that on my conscience.
That's such a common, I guarantee you everyone has an example of that.
100%.
Everyone.
So for
me,
bro, I was like, we need to do better at this.
Yeah.
So let's capture stories. And I'm a talker. I'm a guy that loves talking to the older guys and grabbing a young kid and dragging them into the conversation.
Yep.
So I'm like, let's do this. So we started National Fire Radio, and it was a podcast and social media platform to capture the cultures and traditions of the fire service, which then very quickly we come to realize there was a first for this. And so being one of the more, first to market with this type of content, the podcast shot up overnight, did pretty well in its early days, from our humble beginnings in my in-laws' garage with a makeshift set to, bouncing around to a couple different studios. COVID shook out our last studio, so I've been recording from home, but we have some plans of things that are going to happen first quarter of next year, with a new studio space and so on. So there's a lot of things happening, but ultimately, bro, it's all been built around protecting the integrity of the job. And
somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
I think these younger generations, I don't know if they're going to have full careers either.
I'm frustrated with the institutions that are in the service today that were there yesterday. The ones that I doubled down on did not innovate in the fire service space. And that was frustrating for me to watch these younger kids not know the institutions that I grew up on because they would not change or innovate their message or better their delivery of their message.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was like, if they're not going to do it, I'll start doing it. And that's what it became. And so we started telling the stories of the senior man in perpetuity, having interviews, telling stories, clipping that up for social media. But then we found there was a whole nother avenue to this, right? And so what National Fire Radio is behind all of that, it's actually a media and marketing company. We do marketing scopes and projects with some of the largest manufacturers in the American fire service, because the largest manufacturers and OEMs and dealership networks, so many of them don't have firefighters in their marketing departments. So how the hell can you market and sell to the fire service? How do you sell your product to the backstep firefighter if you've never stretched a line?
Yeah.
If you've never been a firefighter. And so I found there was a disconnect. And with the social media growth that we were having, companies started reaching out, looking for assistance, consulting, help. And before you know it, we're a full creative design, execution, and delivery firm that does projects for companies across the fire service. And then that's put out through our network of community. So what we actually have built is a full service creative execution to delivery, because we built a community that we can deliver against. Nobody else has that.
All this day one. This was the plan all along.
You know what's funny? People ask, like, did you ever think you'd get there? And I was like, yeah.
Really?
I really did, Shimmick, and I'll tell you why.
Wow. Okay. Because I'll tell you why. Where I'm going. We've talked about it a million times. I have no idea.
There was a big miss. There was a big gap. Like what? Like, so
you saw yourself 6 years down the road going, yeah, you're right where you thought.
I thought I'd be bigger and better already.
Oh.
But I don't do things half in. Like, if we're going to do this, let's go.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I wish I was further along already. We have I'm a creative man. I have grandioso ideas and I have so many thoughts and creative, and we could do this and that will do this and this can do this. But I think the one important thing that nobody gets is that this is a long-term play. Yeah. And we built community. We built a name in the fire service within 6 years.
That's fast.
It's incredibly fast. And with that, though, we have to be super protective of the brand, meaning I won't sacrifice our morals, ethics, and values. I will not deviate from who we are from day one. And that's 100% transparency and authenticity.
I love it.
It has to be that way. And this is why, like, the fire service, like, so many guys talk about the process. The process matters in the fire service. There's no freaking shortcuts, bro.
No.
You got to put the time in. If you haven't done it, it's theory, right? You got to put the time in.
And yeah, I don't even know what to say.
Well, I live it. This is my lifestyle, right? People talk about the fire service, and I know in the Northeast it's a little bit different than other parts of the country. I get that, right? In the Northeast, career firefighters, it's truly a career. They get paid well, and it's a good, reliable job. And then I know firefighters in other parts of the country that are career firefighters, but they have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs just to be able to pay their bills. That's fucking wrong. Like, the fire service should be a career, and people that are coming into it should know that the job is going to take care of them. And I talk about the job as the fire service because there's so many different parts of the fire service that it's hard to break it down. So I just talk about the job because fire doesn't care. Fire's fire, whether you're volunteer, paid on call, or a career fireman.
Absolutely.
I know some of the very best firefighters are volunteer firefighters. I know incredible career firefighters. I also know shitty career firefighters and shitty volunteers.
Yeah, being a paid firefighter does not make me better than any.
It's here, bro.
Being a professional firefighter doesn't mean, the volunteer in the town, over is any less. Yeah.
I know some of the greatest people in the fire service don't get a paycheck. I can tell you that, right? And so my point is, it has consumed me as an individual. I absolutely love the fire service. It is my lifestyle. I talk about the fire service all day long. My friends, my circles, the people I travel with, the people I vacation with, all of it. I only have a few sets of friends outside of the fire service, and those friends can't even begin to understand the relationships that I have within the fire service.
So the wife, does your wife ever look at you and go, "Hey, not today"?
She hates me.
Okay.
No, she's amazing.
My phone will ring and she'd be like, "Is CIV stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh," she'll just walk away because she knows, and I can't imagine being, 5-6 years in and, it's, so many people and you're so involved in all these things and she's got to just be a saint, where she's like, "Well, Jeremy's talking about fire stuff all day."
Bro, last week I sprung on her, "Tomorrow I'm going to North Carolina for 5 days."
Yep.
And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm going to North Carolina. I need to be down there." I said, "We have a lot of friends and relationships in the areas that were hit, and in the Asheville area." And I within 24 hours, I said, "I'm going to be leaving." And she wasn't happy about it, but she understands. Because here's the thing, Shimmick, and you and I have talked, on my show and outside of this, you and I have connected pretty good, or pretty well. And I enjoy our friendship, our new friendship. This is really newfound. It's just the last few weeks how we connected. But there's this understanding of trust that I can't break. And if we're going to put ourselves out there and I'm going to share my opinions and ideas and experiences with people, people begin to listen and they begin to trust. And we've built community based on trust.
It's authentic.
I don't get to then write the rules for myself. Like I've put other people ahead of it because we've created an environment, we've created a community that believes in us and trusts in us. We need to be there for people. So when somebody sends me a message looking for advice, I have to answer them. I don't get to not answer the instant messages or the emails that come through. I don't get to not answer those. Maybe one or two go missed.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm human. But there's weeks that I get hundreds of messages.
And you and I have talked a little bit, I believe, on your side a few times about how I told you I felt on track. I felt very hyper focused on like, this is where I'm supposed to be right now, having these conversations about, my side of the CIV stuff. And, you're saying the same thing, or at least I'm hearing that. It's like, you just feel like this is just where I'm supposed to be. These are the conversations and the people I'm supposed to be having in my life. I'm not putting much thought into this.
No, you're right. And I want to take it one step further is, how dare I have the audacity to create something and then not follow through on what we created?
Yeah.
Right? Like I could be super selfish in what we did and be on the take and constantly be here for myself. I could very easily do that. But that's not what this is, and that's not what the fire service is about, bro. You talk about grab a handle, it's exactly this. Like I have a responsibility. That's why I had to go to North Carolina. I didn't need to go there. I had to go there. I wanted to go there because a handshake or a hug or a smile, or literally what we did was put our heads down and actually went to work. I went there to like do interviews and talk to people. I ended up talking to people not on camera, didn't record a damn thing down there. And we put our heads down and we did property assessments, cut trees, shuttled products, right? We worked on behalf of whatever those small communities needed up in the hills outside of Asheville. Yeah. I went there with one thing in mind and did something completely different. And I put up a post last night just talking about my experience and said, I barely posted any pictures or video from that experience because I'm not ready to do that yet. And I don't think that's fair either because I'm not there to exploit.
That's not what it was for.
No. And so that is understanding the mission and understanding where you fit in. If I was one of those guys that was here just for the attention, the amount of shit that I could share, the amount of conversations I could talk about, the amount of the insider views that I have today, the conversations, the tables I get to sit at.
Yeah.
I could be the inside gossip guy on everything in the fire service with the amount of circles I sit in. I don't talk about anything, bro. And in most of those circles, I'm a fly on the wall.
It probably wouldn't go over very well, to be honest.
Well, I would be out the door in a second,
Jeremy,
right?
He's just looking to get some more content for you too.
And that is so far.
He's not here to help. He's just here to exploit and make a few,
And that is so far from who I am or what this platform's about.
Yep.
So it's become my life. This is a lifestyle. This is not by choice anymore. Like it's just consumed me. And my children get it. My wife gets it.
It's good.
They might not be happy with it all the time, with the amount of time it takes me away.
Yeah.
But brother, I'll tell you this, man, at the end of the day, what do we have? It's legacy, bro. It's your name. That's all you got.
We were having that conversation at the fire station. I said, I'm just trying to leave the last 4 years, the old Boy Scout way, leave it better than I found it. And, we've started this conversations ventilation thing. There's several guys,
I love it.
And everyone's really gravitated towards it. And I think we're on a really good start and a really good path. And I hope it continues, and I'll do everything I can to help it continue. And I just don't know what else to do, but there's a problem, and I just want to leave it better than I found it. And I want to leave here, not disgruntled, healthy and happy, both mentally and physically, and then make it better for the guys coming up behind me.
I think we need more people in the fire service to accept responsibility for things they see and want to make a change.
Yep.
You want to make a difference because you didn't like what you see. You're seeing things happen in front of you going, we could do better than this.
We can do better.
And then, so what do you do with that, right? It comes down to the individual, because I saw that the institutions within the fire service weren't innovating and sharing their important messages with the next generation. So I could have just said, like, that sucks for them. Like, somebody's going to land grab that.
Yep.
Or I said, it's that important to me, I'm going to go do this. Like, there's no sitting still anymore, man. Like, I see something, we jump to it. And I don't know. I think that's so important. Right?
Well, those conversations are now preserved as well. Think about that. Like,
my great grandkids will know who I was.
100 years from now, someone could watch this interview, and that it's baffling to me to think about, because, like, I've had a lot of really good senior, guys that have left the department, and it's like they're just gone now. They took, like we've talked about, they took their stories, they took their experiences, they took their expertise, and they took it with them. To whereas you go out and you start having these conversations with people, and it's being recorded, it's being saved and archived, and like a rookie in 20, 30 years can watch a video on ramp pacing, or can go watch Jeremy talk to Boston or New England. It's crazy. Someday we're long gone, someone will discover our podcast. You'll get a new subscriber when you're dead.
You know what's really cool? I went to North Carolina last week, like I talked about, and you walk into places and somebody sees you and goes, holy shit, hey, Jeremy, how are you? Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
That's everything. It's to me, there's such a responsibility in what we've created that I feel obligated to shake every hand and engage every person that talks to me. And I can tell you there's some people in the fire service that I stuck my hand out to shake their hand to introduce myself to them, and they fucking blew me off like I was a piece of shit. And you know what's amazing? These are some big names in the fire service, and they probably didn't know who I was at the time. I can tell you this, they know who I am now.
Yeah.
And in fact, they certainly know who I am now because they want to be on the show. And you know what's fun about that is you have to treat everyone with the same courtesy and respect, from the junior man to the senior man. And when you take on a persona or you create a platform or you have a brand, you better make sure that you represent that to the very best. And that, to me, is incredibly important. And the guys that blew me off, there's not many. There were a couple, and they're names that everybody would know.
This in North Carolina?
No. This is going back a year or two, 3 years ago. Not North Carolina.
Because I dropped your name at Applebee's, and I got in right away.
They knew me?
Yeah.
Half apps. You know, I've only been to Applebee's, I think, once, maybe twice.
If you a roll up, she's like, you know Jeremy?
We don't do chain.
Yeah, I was actually on the show, and she's like, by all means.
We don't do chain restaurants in this house.
Well, you're no. Applebee's is popping for Jeremy, and no, it's just it's a fun thing. I love what you're doing. We've had a instant friendship from the moment we met, and you know, such a genuine thing going on, and it's fun to really. I feel like we're both turning around. I use that term all the time. I turn around. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to fix some things I think are broken. I'm trying to right some of my wrongs. Excuse me, and just because I'm not going to be here for much longer, and then it's the young guys got to grab a handle and carry the load, and that really, I think, is coming down to it's percolating to the top is one of the most important things. It's coming up. And so hopefully we can work on that.
I think what you're doing is awesome. And I think knowing your story now, like I do, I think one of the most important things of getting to know you and your story is, and the not lesson, but something to take away from it. It's never too late to start, bro.
No, it's never.
And the fact that you're willing to tell some of your story, and, the podcast when you were on with me talked about blending in, and it was just easier to blend in for all these years.
Yep.
And now you found yourself at a place where you're like, no, wait a minute. I don't like that. It's time for me to step up and do something about it. Right. Like that to me is so powerful. And I think that is such a strong takeaway, that there are so many people in their careers right now, volunteer or career fire service, in their fire service career, that are looking for something more, seeking something more, needing something more. And they feel like they're just wallpaper, man. They're just there walking through the paces. But I challenge them. I challenge all of them. You have something in you. You got to the fire service because you found it. Mm-hmm. Didn't find you. You seeked it out. You joined. You joined your volunteer department. You went through the process to get hired. You want to be there. Make it worthwhile. It's so important, because if we all go in on it, and I know this is like grandioso and people will be like, this guy's full of shit. Like, this is crazy. And I get that. But I'm a dreamer, bro. I'll be a dreamer. That's fine. I'll dream for all of us. But this job is so freaking good. It's still good. I don't care. All the negativity that's out there and all the focus is on the negativity. It's still so freaking good, because I look at what it's done for me, the relationships, the people I know, the opportunities it's given me, the experiences I've taken away from it.
Yep.
It has provided for me because I have allowed it to consume me. That's the message.
I love it. I we've talked. We got to get day one, getting with these guys and helping them understand a few of the hiccups that we've had and what we're trying to fix from the beginning, build that foundation.
Isn't that what this is? Isn't the fire service built on the generations previous? We
build on it. Make
tradition
it better,
matters.
Stronger. Yep. We're here.
Relationships matter.
I think in a way we forgot that we're not only here for the citizens that we're protecting and serving, but we got to do a better job taking care of ourselves, being there for the guys sitting next to us in the truck, grabbing a handle, all of that stuff that we're talking about. We just need to be reminded. We just need to get up and talk about it, have these conversations at the table,
and know that it's okay to talk about it.
Absolutely.
I end every single one of my podcasts with kind of like a phrase that I've created, right? And it says, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it. Because when we talk about the job, we're making the job better. I believe that, man. Like Ray McCormack, keep fire in your life. Like if you talk about fire, it's a part of you.
I like that.
I mean, it's just, I don't know how it can't. And I guess so many people have been wronged by the system. I guess so many people have not had the upbringing in the fire service that I've had, maybe. But I also think it's on the individual, because we can blame the environment. We can blame the culture. We can blame. When do you start taking responsibility for what's happened to you? And then what are you doing about it?
That's where I'm at.
Right.
I'm taking responsibility at the end and looking back and going, well, here's where I made a mistake. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, or, the sharing part of all this, it all comes back to conversation. We've talked about it. It's simple. Better foundation.
Yes, sir.
Love what you're doing. Jeremy, thank you for taking a little time out of your busy day.
That's it, huh? That was easy.
I just wanted to get you on my side, and show
Bro, I'm here all day.
Show you off a little bit. It's fun. I really enjoy the conversations we've been having, both privately and online, on the podcast. It's been good. It's real positive, and I love what you're doing. It's just good to surround yourself with positive people that are just, like-minded, and, we're just out here trying to make a difference.
You know what I love?
Pizza.
I do. So I have become quite a pizza snob. Not gonna lie. We can go down that road any day of the week. There's a bunch of things that we can go down the road with on those type of topics. But what I was gonna say to you is I love being challenged. Okay. And we talk about like-minded people. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Yes. Also surround yourself with your biggest critics, because they're gonna keep you true. Because the problem is with like-minded people is you get into an echo chamber.
Yep.
And there's no checks and balances anymore, because everybody's on your team. You need people that are not on your team to hold you accountable. And when you stop listening to the critics, or you stop listening to the other team, you've lost your way. So as much as you want to find like-minded people, I agree with you 100%. But find people that challenge you. And people can challenge you for the better. Find those people. I have so many people in my life today that I've never had before because of National Fire Radio and the relationships that I've built. I'm challenged today and held accountable today more than ever before. And I'm grateful for that, because I've recognized how important that's been for me.
Isn't that weird?
Love it.
The more you're challenged, the more positive and better we feel.
Bro, if you have no purpose in life, if you just go through the paces, you get up in the morning, you do what you do, you go to bed at night, what fulfillment do you have? Like, that's, I think where a lot of people lose track, is that they just go through the paces and they no longer have a challenge or fulfillment in life. And when you're not fulfilled as an individual, you're not going to be a good husband, a good father, a good business owner, a good firefighter. You're not going to be there for your crew, because you're not there for yourself.
You're not being honest.
Challenge yourself, man.
I think we talked about it a little bit on your side when we were recording, about how I love how when somebody stands up and says, here's where I fucked up. Like, let me spend 10 minutes telling you where I was wrong. I shit the bed. Because everybody wants to get up. We talked about this. How everybody wants to get up and talk about how we were, all the great things, and how it all, I want to hear the guy that tells me where he messed up.
I mess up all the time, every single day. What do you do? What do you do with it?
Yeah. Hearing those stories, way more influential, and, and they're more colorful, of course, too.
And it's personal.
It's personal.
Right? It's vulnerable. You allow people in. Like, I think the one thing is the guys in the fire service, it's a fire service of alphas, and everybody's got their guard up and nobody's going to let anybody in. But what I have found is when you do, it's that much stronger. That bond, those relationships. I've seen some of the mentors that I had in the fire service, meaning like exterior, outside of my own department, people that I read their articles, watched their training minutes, like people that mentored me in Fire Engineering Magazine, the big names in the fire service that I grew up reading their articles 2, 3, 4 times a month when the magazine came. I've seen those guys. I'm in those circles now, and those guys allow themselves to be vulnerable and have real conversations, and I look at the relationships that they have with one another, and these are grown, older men, tough as nails, and they allow themselves to be genuine and vulnerable, and they have some incredibly awesome relationships. That's what I want.
Yep. That's what we're preaching.
Yeah. Yeah. The Shimmick.
The Dunch.
I grew up being called Dunch.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a cool
it was the last name my whole way. Then I was Jeremy, then it's Jay, then it's JK. I know where in life I know people by the name they call me.
Well, Applebee's knows you as Jeremy from National Fire Radio.
I don't know where this Applebee's things come from, but go with it. It seems to work for you.
Right this way, sir. Your table is waiting.
There it is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's a long list, but get behind me. I know Jeremy. So, no, I just want to thank you again for coming over on my side of the internet and having a conversation. Now I can prove to my mom that I actually know you.
That's cool.
So
I can send over an autograph if you need, T-shirt, something like that. It's fine. Happy to do it.
No, I'm looking forward to everything coming down the road, you and I, and things we're working on, things you're working on. I'm just pushing forward. You're moving forward. I love it. It's just positive shit. And
that's it, man. It's you said it, right? Leave it better than you found it.
Leave it better than you found it.
It's cliche.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys say it. I'd rather you not say it. I'd rather you do it.
Actions are louder than words. So
go do.
All right, man. Well, I love you. Stay safe. Stay together. The Dunch. Right.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations on the CIV podcast.
We're working on
what you're doing. I think it's a lot of fun because it's a very organic and real, and there's no fluff, and there's no PhD telling us how we're supposed to act or feel. It's just literally conversation. And I think the grab a handle and the what you call it, the pacing, ramp pacing, right? Like those are things that I think are relatable in every firehouse. And I think that what you guys have done or what you're doing is creating a narrative that we all need to start looking at deeper and start putting ourselves aside and start paying attention to the others around us.
I have a weird feeling that the ramp pacing and grab a handle conversations will be had for a long time. And I'm excited about that.
Good.
I'm excited to have those conversations with people. And if that's what I'm leaving behind, as my making it better, I'm stoked on that idea. So
love it.
If that's it, that's great. And getting to meet Jeremy from National Fire Radio is right up there too. So
yeah, tell your mom I said hello, will you? You open that door, pal.
I know. It's my fault. So, all right, Jeremy, I appreciate you taking a little time out of your busy day. We weren't planning on recording, but you were nice enough to stick around.
Bro, come on. Why wouldn't we do this?
I know you got some stuff going on tonight, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see where we'll be in a couple more years. So
it's cool.
All right,
yeah, well, let's go, man. Let's go make a difference.
All right, so everybody tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, of course. Head over to Jeremy National Fire Radio. He's pretty big, so go subscribe over there, watch his videos. He's got a 346, I think, is one of your best episodes.
There's 364, so your dyslexia is on full display.
I'm mathematically dyslexic, so 364, I believe, is one of his best videos he's ever produced.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah, he said, send me a photo. And I said, well, here's one that'll get their attention. So you'll see it when you see it. It's
Yeah. It was it's fitting. I can tell you that.
But thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're part of the conversation. We're going to keep this going, and we're just going to go where we're going. So like and subscribe as usual. Jeremy, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you on the next one. Stay safe. All right. Love you guys.